Picture the scene. It's 2020, the world was in turmoil, people didn't know how they were going to survive the apocalypse, and I decided to destroy my life. I had absolutely everything. I had an amazing job, a really respectable career that had taken me all over England and halfway across the world. I had a relationship. To an outsider, it looked as though I had the perfect life. So why did I decide to blow up my life? When I was a child, I remember hearing this phrase, do something you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. And that was something that really stuck with me, especially since I grew up watching people that worked very hard for very little money in jobs that they really didn't like, and they then had very little spare time, and so they were very miserable. And so I didn't want that for myself. But unfortunately, due to certain pressures in my life, I ended up making a few wrong decisions. Now, when I say wrong decisions, I just mean I wasted a little bit of time in the wrong career. Although ultimately I am quite thankful for the skills that career gave me, but that's a different story. So let's just say that through a series of pressured and rushed decisions as a young adult, I then ended up making a lot of compromises in my life. I settled for things that were less than what I wanted, and certainly in some cases much less than I deserved. I compromised on my job, I compromised on where I wanted to live, I compromised on a relationship, you name it, I compromised on it. And that ultimately led to me being unhappy because I wasn't getting what I truly wanted. I was settling. I'd set the bar way too low. I'd had this feeling growing for a while that things just weren't right and I wasn't happy with life, but I sort of felt stuck. I felt as though I'd committed to these decisions that I'd made, and therefore I somehow had to see it through to the end. But can I just say, for anybody watching this, it is never ever too late to make a change. But then 2020 happened, and that completely changed my worldview. It opened my eyes to a whole new level of corruption that I didn't even think was possible in films, never mind in the real world. And I saw the corruption in the universities where I was working, and I saw it in scientific institutions and governments and everywhere. And I decided that I didn't want to be a part of that, and I couldn't contribute, shall we say, to traumatizing the next generation. And I also came to realize that everything that I thought was true about the world actually wasn't. And so it was up to me to go out and learn a new paradigm, so to speak. So that then ultimately led me to a journey of self-discovery. Because in order to fully understand the world, particularly through your own experiences, and in order to make conscious choices about how you want to live your life, and in order to live a happy and fulfilled life and know what your goals and dreams are and have the ability to pursue them, you first need to understand the self. So you need to know your likes and dislikes, your reactions and responses to things, your values. And before I started looking into all of this stuff, I was really good at understanding people's projections. So the shoulds. I was really good at knowing what I should be doing, but not very good at knowing what Caroline actually wanted to be doing. For the last few years, I've just been getting to know Caroline and trying to, from the ashes, trying to rebuild some form of a life for myself that actually does make me happy and resembles a life that I would actually want to live, rather than something that somebody else has told me I should be living. So I've been having lots of fun. I've been trying new things. I've managed to fulfill a few childhood dreams, which has been really nice. So one of those dreams was that I always wanted to learn about the esoteric arts or occult science, and so I'm kind of peeling back the veil on that, and I've got myself stuck into some of the mysteries, which is really cool and exciting. And I have some really big plans for the future, and it's also really exciting to say that I'm actually taking steps towards creating something that was a complete dream for me as a child, but now we're on the path to making that happen. So yeah, watch this space. For those people that find themselves in the same position where they're thinking about making a huge change to their life, maybe going off in a completely different direction, like I've done, then I will say that it's not easy, but it is definitely worth it. And it's never ever too late to say, actually, I got it wrong, I want to do something different. I did go through a grieving process, particularly with my career, and I think this is probably normal when you make such a huge change to your life. And certainly with me and my career, I'd spent my whole life just training for that one thing, and it felt like that was my identity. I was a mathematician. That was me. I wasn't anything else. And so then to give that up, there was a certain amount of loss that I had to deal with, because I was separating myself from an identity that I had become attached to for so long. And then there is a sort of natural transformation process. So as you leave behind the old person, you then have to step into something new. And certainly if you're not entirely sure about who you are and what you like and what you don't like, as was the case with me, that kind of takes a little bit of time to get to know yourself and to see how you feel about doing things differently. This doesn't happen overnight, and the more you try to rush it, the harder it is and the slower it will be. And I found that one out the hard way. So don't rush it. Just allow the transformation to take place naturally, in the same way that a caterpillar doesn't turn into a butterfly overnight. I think you need to give yourself a lot of space and time to adjust to any new life that might be coming in for you. But for sure, that first leap of faith and that decision to actually say goodbye to the old life, that is by far the hardest step. And once you've done that, you kind of figure the rest out as it comes along. It's sort of a, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it kind of thing. And it's nowhere near as difficult as saying the initial goodbye. Certainly in my case, that difficulty was that I didn't want to feel as though I had wasted all of that time. I spent 15 years in that career, or kind of training for it and in it. And so I didn't want to waste 15 years of my life for nothing. And I found that really difficult to sort of close that chapter. But the thing that really helped me to get over it was to have like this perspective shift. So I could either waste 15 years in the wrong career and now go off and do something different, or I could waste the next 35 years of my life stuck in a career that I don't find fulfilling. So when I looked at it that way, 15 years versus 35, it was a bit of a no-brainer. But to be honest, even if those numbers were the other way around, and I was looking at wasting 35 years in a career that I'd built up versus wasting another 15 doing something that didn't really make me happy, I would still say goodbye to that job. Because there is absolutely nothing in this world that is worth surrendering another second of your happiness for. So if you're thinking about starting your life again, then leave me a comment, because I would love to know what you're up to.